Hi, I'm State Representative Seth Grove, and welcome to another edition of Legislative Report. Today I'm very excited. We're at the Northern York County Police Department, and with us is Chief Mark Bentzel, and we're going to discuss all the great services that this hardworking, dedicated officers here provide to our community. Chief, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, and pleased to be here.
Yeah. So this is a very historic regional police department. It was the first regional police department created in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. How significant is that, and how does that differ from what people perceive as a regular police department? Well,
at first I would say that, one of the things that we've proven is we've been around since 1972. Mm-hmm. We function under the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act. Mm-hmm. And I think the one thing that stands out about our regional police department is we're proven, time-tested. Mm-hmm. We're only a few years away from hitting our 50-year anniversary, so we know it works, and we know there's a lot of money that can be saved, and there's a lot of resources that we can provide that smaller agencies just cannot. Now, how do we work in comparison to a municipal police department? Mm-hmm. We currently serve 8 municipalities. Each municipality, certainly is going to vary in size, and its, landmass may be, larger, smaller, and certainly going to have certain things within that municipality that need more attention. Mm-hmm. Major roadways or high-density population, things of that nature. And what we have to do is we have to determine how to serve the needs of each of those municipalities individually, mm-hmm. but yet as a whole, because they're all pulling their resources together and funding the entire police mission.
Mm-hmm. And it varies. You have dense populated Dover Township to pretty rural Paradise Township.
Yeah, we're really diverse in that we have areas within our jurisdiction that are bordering urban areas, and then we have areas that are very, very rural.
Mm-hmm. And each community basically purchases time, service time, and it's all basically 24/7.
It's all 24/7 coverage. Mm-hmm. And if you look at us very much like you would look at a business, mm-hmm. you would say, okay, what are you selling? We're selling police service. Mm-hmm. And the municipality would say, how much police service do we need to purchase to meet the demands of our residents? Mm-hmm. And when we agree on that, we then charge a price for the police service, and of course we then deliver that service to the community.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty competitive. We have a good deal number of regional police departments, and I think each one has proven regional policing has been effective, has worked. Unfortunately, we had a case in Red Line, which still dumbfounds me that you would get rid of police service and go over to state police. When they had their borough police, about 10 years ago, they're spending roughly around $600,000 in their police coverage. And I don't even think it was 24/7 police coverage. I think state police had to come in and cover some times when they didn't have enough officers to cover a full day. Today, that the regional police in that area, their expenditure was $600,000. A decade later, spending the exact same amount of money. They saved the money by getting rid of the regional, but they didn't give it back to the taxpayers. They just spent it elsewhere. So now you only have state police coverage. Looking at our budget, state police coverage, we're trying to get more cadets coming in, but we have huge retirements coming up, compounded with the amount of work and demands on state police alone. How much real coverage are you going to get through state police with a red line borough? And I know we have some rural parts of York County that rely on state police, and usually the joke is, I hit Chanceford, I can go 90 miles per hour down the road because the local presence isn't there. It's really a lack of service.
Yeah, and the state police do the best job they can, mm-hmm. with the resources they have available. Mm-hmm. And they have a lot of demands, and there are a lot of high expectations, mm-hmm. of policing a large area. Mm-hmm. It's the nice thing about the regional concept is you always have the sharing of resources, mm-hmm. and you are able to take two communities that are side by side that are sharing the same police department and blend them together to function more as one community, get better service, be able to provide more resources to that community. But make no mistake about it, policing is expensive, and there's always a high cost to the community. However, it's one of the most fundamental services that's provided, and one of the most important services provided to our citizens.
Yeah, and when you talk about core functions of government, public safety, probably the number one predominant thing. National government, defense spending, military, initial role of federal government, state governments, local governments, it's public safety, police, fire, EMS. It is a core function of governments, and it's a large portion of general budgets, but it's probably the most crucial. When you pick up the phone, dial 911, you want a response.
That's the expectation.
Yeah.
Kind of like the water company.
Yeah.
When you turn the spigot on, you want to see water come out.
Absolutely. Now, the department here is big in community service, community policing, so to speak. You guys do a great job between Officer Dorothy.
Right.
You do National Night Out. You do a lot of great community outreach. What's the reason for getting out and being involved in the community?
It's very important for us to stay connected to the community because so much of our job is typically seen as being the bearer of bad news, the person who hands you a ticket and charges you, money for a traffic violation. So, but in law enforcement, we need to always remember that we're really dealing with about 10 to 15% of the population who may be causing trouble, and the other 85 to 90% of the people are good law-abiding citizens who really support us. And it's important for us to stay connected to those people, and it's important for us to be able to spend time with them so they can see us in a role other than the enforcer.
I think it's gone a long way, and I know we've done a lot of joint concealed carry seminars.
Yes.
You've done it yourself. A lot of your officers have come out, and I know we've gotten great response and appreciation from law enforcement coming out and having those discussions. I think there's a fear of kind of the Second Amendment cohort population that are always fearful the police are going to take my firearms. Most I think law enforcement officers are very pro Second Amendment.
That's probably the day I'm going to retire, that somebody tells me I need to go and start taking people's firearms.
Yeah, I mean, and just the relationship of open discussion, I think, goes a long way. And understanding the framework of an officer in those situations in the general public. And again, I appreciate your officers taking the time out to come out, because I think it's been beneficial both from a community perspective and of course the law enforcement.
I think it's been very beneficial as well. One of those ideas that when first brought to me, I wasn't certain how it was going to go, but I was at the first one. We did it in Wellsville. And I was extremely impressed with the people that attended, the intelligent questions that they had, and the mutual respect between law enforcement and the citizens, and the citizens to law enforcement, in wanting to be just making certain that they're doing the right things, and making it very clear we're carrying a gun and it's for whatever my reason may be, protection or something along those lines. And it was a very good day.
Yeah. Now you guys have had some success with heroin. Reviving people.
Yes.
We authorize the use of naloxone.
Yes.
I think you had the first save in York County here. I think we're up to maybe 5 or 6 saves. How's
Actually,
that been?
we've administered Narcan 9 times now, and of the 9 people, 7 have survived. Two unfortunately did not. 6 of the people were male, 3 of them were female. And probably one of the most interesting things is the age range is nearly 40 years between our youngest and oldest.
Wow.
I think it was 22 was our youngest and 61 was our eldest, where we've administered Narcan. But I must take this opportunity to tell you, this is one of these areas that we believe law enforcement is doing their part. We've trained our people, and many of the police departments, if not all the departments in the county, are now carrying Narcan. It's really not that difficult to use. We're out there, we're saving lives. And that's very important because as a parent of an addict, I'm certain that each time something bad goes wrong, they say, if I could just have one more time, I think we can fix this.
Yeah.
And I wish them the best of luck, and if I were in their position, I know I would feel the same way.
Yeah.
However, I think we're falling short. And I think we're falling short in that we're not moving forward on the treatment side with these people that we're administering the Narcan to. I'm hearing stories from other chiefs where they've administered Narcan and the victim has signed off with the ambulance, didn't even go to the hospital, and walked away. And I'm not sure that that's really what we were looking to accomplish. I know we want to save lives, but I think we need to take a serious look at what we collectively can do to get these people treatment and potentially get them removed from this addictive behavior.
Yeah, and just in the paper recently, our DUI drug court got accredited as a formal drug court. I'm a huge proponent of it. I've been to many graduations. I've seen the lives it's changed by those first-time offenders and get them rehabilitated. Is that the direction we need to go in? Better treatment, trying to get them the first time into treatment. And I know addiction's lifelong. It's basically a disease. You'll never truly get it out, but trying to help them in a way to try to battle it on their own and try to get them community support.
Yeah, yes. I think we need to try to do more on that side, and I think we need to, in some manner, we need to mandate it. We need to say, okay, you've overdosed on heroin. Law enforcement has administered Narcan. You're not being arrested. You're alive. Now, what are you going to do? If there was something there that we could say, if you refuse to follow through with this, charges will be filed. Something that is going to press these people to get into some type of treatment.
Yeah, because that's key. You can save their lives, and more than likely they're going to be back, and you're going to be administering Narcan once again to them. Yeah,
law enforcement has said from the beginning, we realize we cannot arrest our way out of this problem.
Yeah.
The problem is so widespread. This is not just an urban problem. So people that think, well, this only happens in the city, couldn't be farther from the truth. It is literally in every one of our communities. And it is an issue. And it is hitting all demographics, all people. Matters not how much money you make, matters not where you come from or what you do for a living. You could be vulnerable to this.
Yeah, and it's just not, now heroin's kind of the epidemic right now, and I think we've seen different drugs prop up, go down, prop up. Is it an economic thing where overuse, supply, demand, prices will increase, and then people will switch to a different form? Or do you think this is here to stay for a while?
Well, I don't know about that,
Yeah.
but you are right. Yeah, we've been through the epidemic of certain drugs, the cocaine, the crack cocaine, and things of that nature. The big difference, as I see it, between heroin and those drugs is heroin is killing people
Okay.
at a much greater rate than any of those other drugs ever did. And that is what has grabbed everyone's attention.
Okay.
Because I can remember in my career in the late 80s, early 90s, when cocaine was just all the rave. It was everywhere. And people were, I guess, using it recreationally. Some people were addicted to it. Heroin, I don't think, is being used recreationally.
Yeah.
I think once you walk that path, you continue that until you break that addictive cycle.
And there's a connection between prescription drugs and heroin. You tend to start with prescription drug abuse.
Well, some people are. Prescription drugs are opiates. So a person just like you or me could, be injured or need some type of surgery and be prescribed some heavy-duty pain-killing narcotics. And, if not careful, we could walk away with an addiction problem.
Yeah. Now, one of the services that you do here is the National drug take back. People can actually drop off their prescription drugs. Is it here at the department?
Yes.
Do you have a drop-in?
We have a prescription drug drop box. And I must tell you, it makes a distinct noise every time someone drops medication in there. And I can hear it in my office. And it is rattling all day, every day. One of the most successful and best programs that we've provided to our community in a long time.
Yeah, and it's huge because most people will pour it down the sink, which means it goes into the water supply, it has to go through the filtration, or worst case scenario, it ends up in the hands of people you don't want, maybe your kids, grandkids, stuff like that.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's good to stop here. Now that it's a bin outside 24/7, anytime you can drop it off?
No, it is not outside. It's inside.
Okay.
And it's available during our office hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30.
Okay, excellent. Great service. National Night Out, August, usually first week of August?
Yes, first week of August. National Night Out for us, this will be our 4th year. I have two people who, well, multiple people, but two people who've really taken the lead on this, Lieutenant David Lash and Diane Wales, the administrative assistant. And they've taken this National Night Out and built it into a really nice event. We have tremendous support that we get from our local businesses, helping us provide finances to hand out gifts and prizes and so forth for the kids, because it's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
And our attendance just keeps getting better and better every year.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool because we bring we have a grill on a trailer, our Police Officers Association does, and it gives the officers an opportunity to stand there and cook food for the community. The police officers, again, serving the community. And again, an opportunity for everyone to see them in a role other than as the enforcer or the person who's handing out the ticket. They really enjoy it, and I think the community does as well.
Yeah, I remember first year to this past year, the attendance, I mean, you're talking thousands of people.
Yes.
Come in, they enjoy it. Tons of stuff for the kids, bounce houses. Obviously, you have the world famous Regional Police Department dunk tank.
Yes, and I think you're probably scheduled another appearance there.
Probably. It's a good time. I think they let the people cheat when I'm in, but it's cool. It's cool. It's a great time. Pizza, prizes, you guys do a great job with that.
And the best thing about it, from a community point of view, there is not one thing there that costs you money.
Yeah.
Everything is absolutely free, and that's really what it's meant to be. Bring the community together, be able to commingle with the police officers, and just have a great time.
Yeah, it's amazing. You have that. You have, obviously, I mentioned Officer Dorothy, who is there too. Electronic car.
Yeah,
cool
Officer
concept.
Dorothy is a fully interactive robot, and she was born and designed from an elderly woman who lived in Manchester Township who passed away. Her name was Dorothy Kling, and dear Mrs. Kling had left the department a sum of money, and that money was used to have this robot created in her memory. And we take that robot, again, fully interactive. We take the robot to the elementary schools, to churches, daycares, anywhere that we can interact with kids, and we deliver safety messages. And it has, again, been a program that's been extremely successful for now going on nearly 20 years.
It's awesome. You have that. School resource officers.
School resource officers. We have a school resource officer in Spring Grove who's been there for 6 years, and we're just finishing our first full year at Dover. The school resource officer has really been a good program for us as well. It certainly enhances security, enhances the flow of information between the district and the police department. But more importantly, and I pointed this out to the Dover School Board in the last meeting that I attended, the thing that I am most proud of with the school resource officer is the overwhelming number of graduates, high school graduates, that are now moving towards a career in law enforcement. In Spring Grove alone, we have seen quite a few people who are now active police officers. And I can only think that it's the school resource officer is a person responsible for that, creating this environment that people are looking at and say, I think I want to belong to that, either the law enforcement profession or the Northern Regional Police Department.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think, you know, coming back from when I graduated Spring Grove, 1998, we didn't have resource officers. Where was the development in that? Was it to get an officer in there to prevent crime? Was it intelligence? Was it just a presence to try to mitigate some of the issues schools were having?
Well, I think by virtue of the name, resource was really what it was about. And I'm not really certain how long school resource officers have been around, but you know, when things happen nationally, people take a different approach on where they want to spend their money, because a school resource officer costs the school money. So, you know, I think their first thought is to enhance security.
Yeah.
And to have someone there that's going to be a good conduit for the flow of information. But more importantly, what we look to achieve is to get that school resource officer into the classrooms, talking to and teaching kids.
Yeah. Safety concerns, obviously.
Drugs, alcohol, safety concerns, driving. I know they do a lot of driving classes with the schools. And that's ultimately where we'd like to see them. Again, enforce the enforcement role when you need to be in that role, but otherwise, as you know, the person there that's teaching and becoming a resource.
Yeah, that's great. For young drivers out there who may be watching this, what's the most dangerous thing you can do while driving a car?
Well, we used to just say texting and driving. I would say distracted driving. Pay attention to what you're doing. 2 hands in the wheel. Focus on where you're going and what you're doing. Put your cell phone in your purse or the console or somewhere, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
We really need to break this habit.
Yeah.
And parents need to set good examples.
Yeah.
They can't expect their 15-year-old turning 16 that's now driving to not use their cell phone when mom and dad are driving around using their cell phone.
Yeah.
So we need to set a good example. We need to take this lesson and push it much like we did seat belts, you know, many years ago. As the kids see their parents wearing seat belts, they started wearing seat belts, and I believe we can accomplish the same thing with the phones.
Yeah, and it's been that message, seatbelts alone, has been so effective. Buckle up, buckle up, buckle up. It's been ingrained in my entire generation since we were little, and it's almost automatic. Now, I have to yell at my wife sometimes, I have to admit that. But luckily, the annoying beeping sound, if you don't buckle up, helps, I think, with those individuals.
Probably one of the greatest success stories in traffic safety. And I think we can do it again with the phones, but and it's going to take time, but we need to keep pushing this message.
Yeah, yeah, great. Let's get into crime versus service a little bit. What are you seeing trending within your police department's region on crime? What's happening out there? Is it petty stuff, whether small robberies within the house, or you know, kind of the domestic violence dispute, neighbor versus neighbor stuff?
Well, you know, we're fortunate in that we don't have a lot of violent crime. Now, having said that, we have more than our fair share of crime, as any community does. But a lot of it right now, I would say a lot of our crime is around the theft, burglary type related offenses, and unfortunately a lot of those offenses trail back to drug addiction. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. We are seeing more and more people we're encountering are in possession of guns, which and should not be in possession of guns, I might add.
And those are the people we don't want to have guns.
Those
the
are the
law-abiding
people,
citizens have your fair share. It's those individuals that should not be possessing firearms.
That is correct.
Yeah.
But by far the biggest challenges that we've faced probably over the last 5 years are just electronic or technical type crimes. We have a police officer, a detective, who is dedicating a large amount of his time to analyzing and evaluating computers and cell phones and things of that nature, because they're being carried everywhere,
Yeah.
and they're being used for good things, but a lot of bad things
Yeah.
as well. So that alone has probably been our biggest trend.
Yeah, I'm told gangs in down in the Florida area are actually teaching other gang members how to do actually IRS tax fraud. I mean, it's just those financial crimes are just such the
I wouldn't be
upswing.
surprised.
Yeah, it's
I wouldn't be
amazing.
surprised. And speaking of the IRS, I would let anyone who's watching this know that if you get a phone call from anyone telling you they are the IRS and they're coming to arrest you, do not believe it. I received a phone call a few weeks ago from the IRS. The guy says he's calling from California, and I was delinquent on taxes, and they were coming to arrest me, and they would be at my home in 45 minutes.
Yep.
I welcomed him, made sure he had the correct address, and no one showed up.
Wow.
And we've had several reports of that. So there are so many scams and so many ways that people are trying to take advantage of other individuals that it's really sad.
Yeah, and your department's great at communication. You have an amazing website. You're on Twitter. You're on Facebook. I follow you on Twitter, and if there's an event happening, you're on top of it. Car accident, bridge closings, road closings, COVID and climate weather. What's the precipice for doing that? Has it been effective?
Well, we believe very much that the goal that we were trying to accomplish was meaningful, real-time information to the community, as best we could provide that. We began through our website, and we tried to keep that fresh and interactive, and allow the community to go to that site to pull information, be able to download reports, do a lot of things that would from the luxury of their computer. We then expanded into the Twitter and the Facebook, and again, it was all designed to engage the community, as large a demographic of the community as we could possibly engage. We found it to be very, very beneficial. It is the one thing we do get complimented on frequently.
Yeah, and I know you can sign up for vacation checks if you're going on vacation.
Right.
Doing that kind of stuff. So it's a wonderful tool, and appreciate your guidance in that. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We could probably talk forever about all the great stuff you and your department are doing, and just know that the community appreciates everything you're doing, and we truly appreciate everything your officers do on a day-to-day basis.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to share some information today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Fortunately, that's all the time we have today for a legislative report. Again, I'm State Representative Seth Grove. Appreciate the Chief for taking his time out and discussing what's happening at Northern Regional Police Department. Their contact information, their website, Twitter, Facebook account will be viewed after the program ends. So if you want to follow them and see what the good stuff they're doing, please feel free to check that out. Again, thanks for tuning in.